Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is Aretha. Today, I'd like to share my favorite takeaways from Laura Vanderkam's latest book, Tranquility by Tuesday. If you've been watching my content for a while, then you'll know that I have a bit of a love relationship with Laura Vanderkam. I've read multiple of her books and I listen to her podcasts. And I generally like to hear what she has to say about time management and making the most of our lives. What I really like about Laura's content is that she focuses on the possibilities. She likes to talk about the things you can do to make your life more meaningful. A few things that have stuck with me over time from reading and consuming her content is this idea that you should look at the week instead of looking at days. Because when you consider the week, you have 168 hours to make life happen. And I find Laura's message very empowering because she makes you realize that you have some control, at least over a portion of the 168 hours. So let's talk about what this book is specifically about. I think the goal of this book is to make us feel that we can have tranquility even if our life is complicated, complex, and sometimes downright chaotic. In the intro of the book, Laura explains that it took her a decade to narrow down those 9 practical tips that she thinks are the most beneficial. And it's not just her opinion, she actually conducted a study. So she had about 150 people complete a 10-week program with her. At the very beginning of this study, all participants completed a 1-day time log to kind of establish their baseline behavior. And then for 9 weeks, the participants received 3 separate emails. The first email came on Friday to tell them a little bit about the time management strategy they were to be testing, and the participants were asked to think about and share how they were planning to implement the rule. Then on Monday, they'd receive a reminder about the rule, and then on Thursday, closing out the week, they received a follow-up survey asking how the week went, and then they would move on to the next rule. At the end of the 9 weeks, they were asked to once again fill out a 1-day time log and a time satisfaction survey. And then finally, 3 months after the study was concluded, Laura followed up with the participants and was pleased to find out that their time satisfaction scores remained high. So the 9 principles she shares in the book were tested by this group of participants. So I won't go over all 9 tips, but I'll highlight the 3 that really stood out to me. So the first rule I want to talk about is rule number 3. 3 times a week is a habit. And the main idea here is that we have to stop thinking that in order to matter, something has to happen every single day. Basically, it's overcoming this all or nothing thinking. If there's something that you really want to do and would like it to be part of your regular routine, it doesn't have to happen every day. 3 times a week is more than enough for you to consider it a habit. And she points out that even people who have daily habits, what they call daily habits, they probably don't do those things every single day of the week. It gives us a little bit of flexibility and breathing room around the things we really would like to make part of our lives, but just cannot happen every single day at the exact same time. And when you follow Laura's 168-hour mindset, then you don't consider the weekends as an afterthought. Weekends become part of the time available to you, and you start making plans that take advantage of every single day, every single hour in your week. So if you want to be the kind of person who exercises regularly, 3 times a week is a good place to start. If you want to be a family that has dinner together regularly, doing it 3 times a week counts. And it doesn't have to be all dinners. Maybe you do breakfast as a family on Sundays, and that counts as one of your times. So if you embrace the idea that 3 times a week is a habit, and you allow yourself some flexibility around the configuration of your habits, then that opens up a whole world of possibilities for activities that you have been putting off because you couldn't find a perfect, repeatable time in your schedule every day of the week. And that takes me to my next favorite tip, which is rule 5. Create a backup slot. The main idea here is that anything important that you want to see happen has to have a backup slot on your calendar. And this is how you create a resilient schedule. Because anyone can create a perfect schedule on paper, but in order to be successful, you have to have a resilient schedule that can withstand unforeseen things happening. Laura describes this backup slot as the equivalent of a rain day for an outdoor event. It's basically a plan B in case what matters couldn't be done at the original time it was scheduled to be done. But obviously you cannot create a backup slot for every single thing you do, so it's important to figure out what truly matters. Only the more critical, important things need to have a backup slot in your week. The bottom line is that we need to get into the habit of leaving regularly scheduled open time on our calendars. So the way you implement this will depend on your particular circumstances. Maybe you clear up an hour every afternoon. Maybe you have a lighter day in the week and you can schedule half a day as your backup slot. Or if you're lucky, you can do all your work Monday through Thursday and leave Friday as your backup slot day. But it doesn't just have to be your daytime or your work time. You can hold open space on a particular evening where you make sure to schedule no social events and you make sure you don't have to do any work. Getting in the habit of holding open space doesn't only allow us to do more work and perform more activities, sometimes it gives us the buffer so that we can take advantage of new opportunities. There could be something fun that you suddenly get invited to that you need to fit into your schedule. If you have an open slot in your week, you can easily fit it in and then move things around to accommodate. And that takes me to the last tip I'd like to share, and that is Rule 9. Effortful before effortless. In the book, this chapter starts with a quote that I really like. It says, "Leisure time is too precious to be leisurely about leisure." Here, we're making the distinction between effortful fun and effortless fun. Effortless fun typically is passive and involves some kind of screen. So you're either watching Netflix or Hulu or whatever streaming service you have, or you're scrolling on your phone mindlessly for hours. That's effortless fun. Effortful fun, on the other hand, is more active, and it includes fun things like socializing, building Lego sets, doing a puzzle, playing board games, reading, playing an instrument, or practicing a craft, or whatever else makes you feel good about your leisure time. Even daydreaming counts, because in a world that is constantly buzzing with information, it requires a certain amount of effort to do nothing in a way that recharges us. I want to note that here, Laura is not demonizing effortless fun. We all indulge in it and it has its place. But what she is saying is that if you start with effortful fun, you will still have enough time for effortless fun. But if you succumb to effortless fun by default, it may be harder to get yourself out of it to go do something more effortful. So for example, if you really want to read more, but you find yourself binge watching Netflix after dinner or scrolling on your phone until bedtime, you may feel like you never have time to read. But in order to make reading happen, you should probably do the effortful part before the effortless fun. So that would look like finishing up dinner and maybe setting a timer for 5 to 10 minutes to read a book before you then switch over to Netflix or to scrolling on your phone. The idea is not to be perfect. The idea is to make sure that the leisurely things you'd like to do more of find their way into your routine before you succumb to the more passive way of relaxing. In order to increase your chances that effortful fun will happen, you can practice using a timer. So if you say, I'll just read for 10 minutes, or I'll practice my instrument for 10 minutes and then I can watch Netflix, it might feel very doable even when you're at the end of the day and you're feeling like your energy is mostly gone. Another thing to keep in mind is that you want to make effortful fun look as appealing as effortless fun. So if you want to read more, make sure you have books that you look forward to reading and place them where they're easy to access so that it's as easy to grab a book as it is to grab your phone. And the last tip Laura shares related to Rule 9 is to picture yourself on the other side of it. So if you had great intentions to read a book, but now it's after dinner time and you're feeling a little depleted and it feels hard to pick up the book, picture yourself on the other side of having read it. So I wanted to share my 3 favorite takeaways from the book, but there are 9 rules total. As always, Laura's ideas in this book made me feel empowered to make some changes that improve the quality of my everyday life. Her ideas are really good at helping reframe our relationship with time and with productivity. So now it's your turn. Have you read Tranquility by Tuesday or any other books by Laura Vanderkam? And if so, what did you think?